Hey everyone, so great to be here. My name is Katie Ray. I'm the head of community over at Metadata. I guess I will share a little template. So this is me. I've got 3 Huskies, Nova, Ned, and Kai. I just finished with my MBA from Texas Tech out in Lubbock, Texas, and this is my horse Bug. So that's why the Cowboy Christmas sticker was so awesome, because I ride horses. I was like, oh my gosh, how did they know this? I thought that was so fun. So very excited about the session today, just talking through community and what it looks like. I think is so awesome. So great job, Talkbase team, on this concept. So today, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. If you have other questions you don't want me to talk through on here, just Slack me. I try to be fairly responsive. And yeah, hopefully this is helpful for everyone watching this. So one of the things I wanted to start off was really with the why of the demand community. If you didn't know my story of being here, I was working over at Clary and I got a message from our VP of marketing, Jason Widup, and then our CEO, Gil. He had added me on LinkedIn, and whenever when a CEO and a VP of marketing kind of follow you and message you, it's interesting. It definitely piques your interest, and you're very much like, oh, maybe I should talk with them. I wonder why are they creeping on my LinkedIn? And so Jason messaged me and I said, I'll take a call. I'm not really looking, but if I know someone, if you like what I have to say, like, I can recommend you to some other great folks who are looking. And we absolutely hit it off and just had a great call. And I always joke about the first call because he was very much, we're building a community in 3 weeks. We're launching it in 3 weeks. And I asked, what is how long is the hiring process? Because I needed to understand, should I be planning this before you extend an offer, or what that process looks like? So it was really fun. But one of the things I loved about the demand community and why I really wanted to come and build it was, it's a place for demand gen marketers, and I've let a few other types of marketers in, despite the protests I get internally. But it's really a place for marketers to come and connect and grow and learn. And I'm so excited to talk through some of the ways that we're letting that happen and encouraging that today. But there was really a big need for that. There wasn't really a space where people weren't being sold to. There wasn't really a space that was actually community led, in the sense that our members chose the platform. Our members chose our company or our community values. Our members choose the types of programming, and I'll show kind of what that looks like a little bit later. But there is a need for that. And just like in any good community planning phase, you talk with the beta testers and you figure out who really cares about this. Is there really that need? Because so often in community, we just think, oh, everyone will love this. And then we do it and they don't love it. So it's really important to get feedback. So we went through that process. Jason and Mark had already done so much of that. So whenever I came in, it was a little interesting because I was really having to take these 2 random guys' word of, oh yeah, people want this. And so once I started doing my own research, it really confirmed that. The demand community was really fun because the hiring process was much longer than 3 weeks. And so by the time I was finally brought on, my first day of work was flying into the Denver International Airport, trying to find coworkers who I hadn't ever met before. Only one of the gals that was there I had actually interviewed with. That was in my car for that morning. And so I had no idea who I was looking for. I spent my whole first week at Metadata at Estes Park at a marketing team offsite. Day one, I really made an impression by getting car sick by doing a Rocky Mountain National Park tour. So it was quite unique. It was something special, but the timing was really important to us because we really wanted to get it out there sooner rather than later. One of the things that Metadata has done so incredibly well is build an audience. And it's so important to differentiate an audience from a community. And that was something that was so incredibly important for me, was for them to realize, hey, the audience is going to help us build our community. It's going to help bring people in. We already have people that's interested in what we have to say and what we're doing. So how do we then transform that into people who are going to engage with it in different ways and share and give opinions and disagree with it as well in a safe space? So we wanted to do that fairly quickly. So I think it was about a week and a half after that offsite. So I'm on week 2.5, 3, and we launched the community to our beta group. It's crazy. Not an awesome idea, purely from the fact that I really like having things planned out. But I'm so thankful we did it this way, not having to have it, everything planned out step by step made it so much more enjoyable. It's hard to build that way because so often, depending on who you're reporting to, you have to have, here's our plan for success, here's contingencies, here's what this is going to look like, our timeline. And where it's been so cool with the demand community is we don't necessarily have a timeline. And a lot of our building is, hey, we really like this idea. Let's ask the community, do they like it as well? Cool. We'll make this programming happen. And we've got a lot of internal support and our community member support to make that happen as well. But then it's also, let's keep track of that information and the data points from it to see if it's successful or not, and make pivots where needed. So anywho, that kind of shifts into the how of the demand community. It's really, really community led. It is absolutely the channels that are in there. Those were all decided by the community members, and they're still being evolved based off the community members. The programming is based off the community members and what they're wanting. It's kind of crazy because this is really the first community that I've been a part of where I don't say, oh, I think we should do this. It's, hey, I love this idea. Let's ask the community on what they think. So, yeah. Okay, so one of the things that's super important is the moderation and engagement for the community. And I will share that here. So moderation engagement, I think that's kind of my sweet spot on a lot of things. I was looking at the data. We have a median response time of 33 minutes. So, which is crazy. It just blows my mind. But that's something that's really important to me is every single time someone has a question, I'm going in there and I'm tagging people. I am making sure that people have answers. I am making sure that if it's something that like I may not know the answer to, I'm bringing in the right different types of folks. So that's something really important to me. I'm trying to see. We just had, here we go, LinkedIn ads. We just had a great question come in today, if it'll load. But okay. So this is a great example. So this question just came in this morning. And one of my little tricks, I don't even know if it's a trick. I feel like it's a very practical thing, but it really helps. So it came in at 10:30 and then like within an hour I responded and I tagged all these folks. All I did is I just take the keywords from the questions, I search it, and I very tactically put in our intro section different types of tools that people like to use, different things that they're experts on, different items that they want to learn more about, you name it. So whenever, and where it's kind of cool in this community is a lot of people ask questions based off of tools and usage. And so I'm able to search the intro channel based off that tool. So I can come up with 5 or 6 different people's names like that. And people love that. They're like, oh my gosh, look at all these people that may know how to do this or may not how to do this. And so this is one of the things that's really, really important for me with moderation and engagement. And if like I can add stuff to it, I will, but I also know like I'm not a marketing expert, I'm still learning. And so that kind of keeps me humble and keeps me out of the way. I think so often with moderation and engagement, we'll want to, it'll sound like to us that we need to respond or we need to share our opinion on things and like our perspective on certain things. And for me, like, I don't have one on this. Like, I am not responsible for the LinkedIn document ads. I know nothing, but I know the right people who are using it because of how I'm using our community and like how I'm getting people to talk about things. And so that's a really big thing for me. Timeliness, like I said, a 33-minute response average is really important. One of the things I learned back in my time at Sales Hacker was nobody wants to be in a community where you ask a question and it takes 4 days to get a response. So many of these communities, this is like people in real time that are building something and they need a response immediately. Very similar to like customer success communities in that way of like, hey, they're going through a bug right then, and or like a support community, and they need your help right then and there. So that's like a huge thing for me is making sure that like not only are they getting responses, but they're getting good, well thought responses with that. I'll give a little behind the scenes. One of the things that we're actually kind of struggling with is our customer channel because of this. And I don't know why it's going so slow. But one of the things with our customer channel that's been tough is that level of timeliness. And it's been interesting because we've actually seen more customers putting questions about our product in the rest of the community when the community is not geared for the product. Like, it's supposed to be brand agnostic outside of our customer channel. And so it's been really interesting because our prospects are coming in here and are putting questions out there like, hey, who's using metadata? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? And it worked really well for them, and they're getting amazing feedback. But it's been interesting in the actual customer channel, because it's been hard to get people to actually respond to the questions in that private channel. So I'm not really sure why. I'm still kind of testing some things out and seeing it. It's probably because they're getting a little blue wheel of death like I am. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. But here's a good example. So another thing with moderation and engagement is we have a level of communal ownership. On some regards, I think it's really great. And on other regards, I'm like, oh no, that's not really the purpose of this. So here's an example. We're in the middle of 10 days of demand right now. And we did an AMA with Jason and Mark. It was great. We did a live AMA. We had people post their questions in here and then ask them in the video. And then I ended up cutting them up as shoddily as I could and replying back with the videos like this. So you can see that lovely little look that I have there. One of the things that's really interesting with this idea of ownership and having our members be partial owners of the community and like responsible for the success of it is there's instructions, but they're never followed. And so people will come in and like explicitly reply to the question, even though it says, this is for an AMA on Monday that these people are not on, but they'll come in and reply. And it's one of the things where, like I said, on one hand, I really love it. And on the other hand, I'm not sure how I feel about it, because there's different types of behaviors that I wish that more folks would adopt, like this, of just being comfortable with responding and asking questions. Whereas there's others where it's like, hey, if it's not your spot to respond, please don't respond. You know, the AMA channel, it's for our hosts that are coming in and doing an AMA with us. And we do our AMAs, like the video one was our first one we did video. We've been doing them more Reddit style, and that's actually been really good. Yeah, I don't know, people like that. They like just asking the question here when they think about it and then coming back and answering or seeing what the answer is. So some of the tools that help us actually support moderation and engagement for the community. I am a huge fan of Common Room. So I love the data side of things. I love being able to see kind of like where things are. I hate keeping track of stuff. So if I can just see it all in one spot. As you can see, I don't know what happened, but we had really crazy engagement that week. So I really got to go back and figure out what did I do, because that's a really great numbers. But one of the things I really enjoyed about using Common Room is being able to see like the different types of activity, active members, activity by source. And then, yeah, the time to response is really important. The no reply, I always like kind of chalk this up, and I don't really care too much about this because that's like announcements or an event announcement or like a job board promo. But one of the things that we do to kind of help cheer on our members is I'll pull like a list of the most active members, the 12 most active members every other week, and I promote it in our newsletter for our members. And it's cool. Like Ryan Williams is a really great example. He was one of our first ones in the first newsletter that we did. And it was so cool because he was so excited about it. And he shared on social, and he like did all the things that you would really hope a member would whenever they get a shout out. And it was so much fun. And just seeing like the joy that they had it just makes me so happy. So that was really, really cool. And then we're also starting to use Talkbase because I was recently talking with my boss, and we were talking about tracking the different types of engagement in relation to our programming that we do, and figuring out, like, is it the same group of people that are coming every time? Is it different groups of people? Are they members? Are they not members? And if they're not members, like, can we assume what type of promotion brought them to the community event? And so I actually have like a 4-hour time block on Friday to get more stuff scheduled out in Talkbase. So that way I can get it all ready to go for 2023. But yeah, that's really important for us. Of course, we use Asana, and it's really interesting because we're leveraging it for like tracking towards our big rocks, like our overarching goals for the organization. And so I'm actually really excited about that, because then leadership can see like how everything is being tied to it. And like what community efforts are supporting what, like the overarching goals. And then of course HubSpot. So we love that. So another thing that's really important for us, I want to find the slide, is we do a lot on improving our worth. Right. We all have something. We all have something in our organization, or someone that's constantly questioning, like, if what we're doing is going to bring any type of value, or if what we're doing is going to help close a deal. Or right now, everyone's stressing out about like deal acceleration. And so we're constantly thinking about how can we leverage the community while also keeping that very fine line of community is not to be sold to. And I literally had a call with our VP of sales a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, we should do an event for the entire community where they can ask our customers, or is like a demo from one of our customers on how they use our product. And I was like, we're not doing that. I'm so sorry, but we can't do that. Like I can't let that type of a thing happen, and ruin the trust that we've already built with our community members. And like, same thing, we had partnered with a company recently, and they sent out an email within 18 hours of the event, not even a full day of the event. And then they spelled our name wrong in the email. And like, it was just wonky. Well, I mean, we'll probably partner with them again, but we'll set better expectations and rules around some of the things. But it's like, I really want to protect my members, and I want to protect that relationship that I've worked so hard to build with them. And so sometimes it's not worth having the sponsorship if it's going to ruin that for them. So anywho, proving our worth, you've just got to be very careful, because there's always going to be folks in especially in your sales org, depending on like how your community is set up, trying to put stuff out into the community. So some of the things that's really important for us, please don't spear me or heckle me or whatever, because these are not updated by any means. So please forgive me. But some of the things that we're starting to track is like our community influence pipeline. So we haven't found a perfect system for this yet. So if you have one, please let us know. Attribution is always really, really tricky, because you never really know what touch in the whole buyer or prospect journey was the one thing that, made someone say, oh, I really want this. But we're just assuming that if they're part of the community, then they've been influenced in some level. And there's some folks where like, I know 100%, like if they were not a part of the community and couldn't ask those types of questions, then they wouldn't have bought our product at all. But that's like a dime a dozen. So we're doing community influence pipeline based off of membership for new business. We're also doing community influence renewals. This is going to be really, really important for us next year, once we've hit about, I don't know, almost like 8 to 10 months worth of community baseline metrics, where we can say customers who are involved in the community are 70% more likely to renew or upsell, or like be upsold to, or expand into, than those who aren't. Because then that way, that's like a really big metric that I can bring to our company and say, I really need your guys' support to make sure not only every customer, but every prospect is in the community as well. So it's kind of like an interesting growth lever. But yeah, it's just, that's the stuff that really matters. That's the stuff where you can come back and say like, hey, not only are is the community doing great stuff? We've got great engagement. We've got all this awesome stuff, but it's also directly affecting our bottom line. And right now, like that's really big for companies. And then, yeah, renewals. And then one of the things that we're trying to figure out is like, what is the process of an engaged member turning to like a disengaged member, what that looks like. So that's some of the fun stuff that we've got there. Wow, I just yammered on. Are there any questions? I don't know.
Tiff had a question about a metric and where you got
you answered it though during your session, so I think that's fine.
And then Steph was letting us know that Slack might be down, so it's not just you with the blue wheel of death. And no questions yet, but you're doing great,
Okay.
Katie.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, then some of the things that I think are really important, that kind of back to moderation and engagement. One of the things that we recently launched was a women in marketing channel. And it was really important for me to create a space for the ladies, but then also to make sure, like, it's really easy for a lot of those types of programs to be like, we hate all men, and be like a slightly aggressive spot of like just complaining all the time. And so one of the things that's been really interesting and like very unique in that opportunity is we've had a few women in marketing events, but it's been really cool because we've had a lot of members who have directly messaged me to come and post like questions about their career. And like literally within the past 2 days within the past day, I've had 2 members who was like, I was misled about what my current startup company had. And now I've got like this opportunity. What should I do? And so it's been really cool. And I think you don't really get to have deep conversations and like deep relationships like that if you're not actually like chatting with your members every day. So I think that's something like with membership and engagement, it's really easy to tag members. It's easy to search content within the community to find. But if you're not actually going in there and like building these relationships, like that's not what your community is going to be about. It's going to be about promotion. It's going to be about selling to these people. It's going to be just another thing that for a company to do because they're seeing everyone else to do that. But there's a really, really big difference between that and like actually having relationships with these people. And I truly believe that that is the difference between like a successful community and one that, I don't know, can just be in vain. And so like that channel is a really great example for me because that was built because members were asking for it. And like the programming that we're doing, it's built because they're asking and people are agreeing with it. And I think that's just something really important as I continue to build and like the different channels to kind of keep that front of mind for me. So that's a really big thing. But yeah. Oh man, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize how fast I was going to talk today.
Well, good. I just thought of a question. So I've been talking to a lot of people lately about like information overload. So yeah, you have like some cool data about your community members. How do you go about filtering that up and picking like a key, metric KPI to always share with the executive team or to be known by?
Yeah, I will actually show y'all. I was actually just talking with someone about this morning. We were talking about readouts and I was like, I don't do a readout. No one's gonna listen. So we share some of the data in 2 different ways. One, every Thursday, every member of the marketing team does a Loom. It's about 2 to 3 minutes maybe on like what you're working on, what you might need support on, what's coming up on the calendar, stuff like that. And then it gets sent out internally every Friday. And then every Thursday morning, I think it is, we have like a weekly revenue meeting where like the big boulders for the marketing team are presented. I do 2 newsletters a month, every other week. So like, let's just say week 1 and 3, I'm doing external. And then week 2 and 4, I'm doing internal. And so like, this is an example of one of ours that we did. And we've got like, hey, we had the nominations. Here's your most active members. our newly engaged orgs that we need to be keeping an eye on. I don't know why that's in there twice. That's not great. Oopsies. And then I do like screenshots of top questions. And then these are the metrics that I usually share. So our total membership, our engaged, our super users, our engagement rate, response rate, and then activity. And for me, I like to keep an eye on activity, and I like to keep an eye on what is causing spikes in activity so that I can replicate it whenever times get really slow, to help lessen like the dives going up and down. But it's also, I don't know, I think it's good for them. It's really interesting because with metadata, like I'm the only community person there, like many of you, but my company had no clue what they wanted with a community. And so like setting goals and metrics has been so unique because so much is like, should we have a 10,000 member community? I don't know. I was like, well, if you want to do that, like we can make that happen, but there's going to be sacrifices to be made on quality and like depth of relationship and bandwidth. And I will need somebody else. Like I can't do all of that by myself. And like we'll have to promote it. Everything's been by word of mouth so far. And then like a few LinkedIn posts here and there, but like we don't have our own LinkedIn page. We're not doing any paid ads. We don't have like a super big email list outside of our prospects and customers that everything's going to. So I mean, really everything's been fairly word of mouth so far. And so as like we're building and stuff, it's just good for, I think, the folks that care about this to see like every other week, here's where things are at, and like here's what's important. And if anyone ever wanted to see the data, that's when I would go to Common Room and be like, hey, here's over the past like 3 months, here's everything we can see and like what happened and what caused what. So that's really big for us. And then I usually have like upcoming events that we have in there. And then right now we're in our 10 days of demand. So that's been really fun. Joyous time.
So say there's someone in the community world that also wants to start their own newsletter. Would you forward this example to them?
Of course. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's me. I really like, especially like, I think especially in the SaaS world, reporting on newly engaged accounts, how helpful that is for the CS org and even the product org, to kind of have a view on which customers are getting involved. So
yeah. And then like so this was what it used to look like. I just haven't done a member of the week for the past 2 weeks because I've just been swamped, but I really enjoy doing member of the week. I actually saw like a good amount of click percentages come from having a member of the week where they can actually connect. And then, yeah, I try and keep it like fairly short and sweet just because I know there's so much going in it. At Sales Hacker, we had an amazing newsletter that Brooklyn Nash and like Bean Content did. But it wasn't a community newsletter. It was more of like a sales newsletter because they had community corner, which I dubbed. And it had like, here's 3 questions that you can participate in today. And I felt like that wasn't great. And it was at the very bottom of the newsletter, which half the time people don't go to. And I was like, if it's for the community, then it needs to be all about community stuff. And it was actually like a point of contention for a bit because we were just like, if this is for the community, it's got to be community. It can't be this other stuff that you're bringing in from other communities or other media platforms. And so, and I will say we have a really great design team, Algort. They're an amazing agency. And so they come up with most of the designs for things, which is lovely because I love Canva, but that's about it. Margaret, I see the question, how do you select a member of the week? So I'll actually show you in Common Room. And I'm on the free version, so take that with a grain of salt. I have no money right now. So for activity, I'll usually go in, I'll always make sure it's on the community. That's not what I wanted. I wanted membership. I'll go to like new and active. So, and I'll go to like activity count and see what's the highest for a new member. And she just joined. And so like, she would be a really great option for us. or like these folks would be really great options. And then I'll actually like take her, and then I think I can add a tag in. Yeah, I can add a tag and I could put her in the member of the week. No, I'm sorry. I'll add a segment and I'll put her in the member of the week segment. And then I can go and find her in here. And so, and I actually really enjoy, because I can actually come in here. Obviously there's a lot of no status and I need to keep up with this, but you can like put that, you can show that you've already used them, because I think so often it's really easy to like not be able to show, or like you'll have the same person within 1 year and not even realize it. So that's super helpful for me. Yep. Yeah, finding a good community tool I think is like the most make or break thing. So and with Talkbase, I'm going to start implementing with the member management in there. I'm going to start implementing that in addition to like the member management on the side. So
yay, we're excited for you to use the product more. Does anyone else have any other questions for Katie while we have her? This was really helpful, especially I'm a fellow SaaS community manager, unique problem. So I know a lot of people are gonna watch the recording and be inspired. And I like the member of the week too. And I really like your answer there, Katie, because I think if you engage people early,
yeah,
then you're more likely to keep them. If you try to spotlight a member after they've been in the community for 15 weeks, you know, it's not as likely.
we're not going to do anything.
Right. Like it's so nice, like so nice to be able to connect with people early in their journey. So, I don't think we have any other questions, but if you need to reach out, you know where to find Katie in our community, and the recording will go out to all of you. And Katie, I really appreciate you taking your time before the holidays with us. Oh, there, and she shared her LinkedIn,
Yep,
everybody.
I got my LinkedIn. Yeah, I was just gonna say one of the things with like member of the week. So we're gonna be launching a LinkedIn page in January, and I'm actually very excited about that, because ideally, whenever we do the member of the week, that'll also be on the LinkedIn page as well. And then we get access to that person's entire network because they're tagged in it. So it's a really unique like member play that you can do, and like data play. Also, sorry about the dogs, but I don't know if you can see the tail. Yeah.
Yeah. Never say sorry for the dogs.
Yes, sweet puppies. So but yeah, if you guys need anything, just let me know. Yeah, I have barely any budget. So, but we're making things happen. So if you're like me and you want to chat, just DM me. I'm always here. I've had 2 calls this morning with folks just wanting to chat community. I think one is building a competitor community though. So I should have done a little bit more research. I was like, oh, so you're starting to build a community. What does that look like? I was like, oh, well.
It's happened to me before too. I've learned the hard way. Always investigate who wants to
I was
your
like, I have
brain.
more questions. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Nice to meet one of your dogs, and we'll see you all around the community.
Bye, y'all. Have a good one. Thanks, everyone.